Here's what I believe for you. The leads are there. It's not your website that needs tweaked. You don't need another offer or to yet again change your offer or go back and adjust the copy on your website. There is a gap, and that gap is turning those leads into a really authentic conversation. And in today's episode, I'm going to help you understand why those conversations aren't happening for you and what to do instead. And stay tuned to the end because I'm going to give you an amazing opportunity to close that gap so you can get your clients talking back to you within 24 hours. Hello, amazing coaches. Welcome to this episode of the Best Damn Coach podcast. It's Amanda here. I hope you're having the best day wherever you're tuning into the show, on your commute, while you do some laundry, on your walk, while you're working, while you're prepping client stuff. I am just grateful that you're tuning in because what I know about you right now is you likely, with certainty, actually have people that are in your vortex, in your world, that could use your work or know somebody who could. And in today's episode, what we're talking about is you have leads out there. You're just assuming the wrong thing. And therefore, it's distracting you from getting clients in your business. And so I'm going to share this question that I ask often, especially if I am on a prospective sales call or I'm meeting somebody or coaching somebody in the BDC for the first few times or the first time. And one of their chief complaints is that they don't have the number of clients that they want in their coaching roster. I think it's a fair problem. I think it's a problem that many coaches have out there. And I think there's a lot of noise from different coaches that say, this is the thing. You need SEO. You need to fix your website. You need to post more content. But I ask this question that gets me to the root of the problem in less than 5 seconds. And you can ask this question of yourself here. So when they tell me that, I say, okay, tell me, when was the last time you actually told like a real life human being about the results you get through your coaching and put an offer out in front of them? And in today's episode, we're going to talk about why this problem or this question helps me better understand the reality of where you're at when it comes to your filled or lack thereof coaching roster. So coaches consistently tell me they want more clients, and the reality of this whole thing is the reason you don't have clients is this. It's almost never your niche. It's almost never your website or your SEO. It's almost never the fact that you don't have a podcast. Honestly, it's never even your offer. The leads are honestly in front of you. I've said honestly a lot already. The leads are already in your life. They're already in your orbit. The gap is almost never the algorithm. It's the conversation that's missing. And so that very question is usually answered with a pause. And then they say things like, man, it's been, I don't know, it's been like 2 weeks. It's been 30 days. I'm not sure I've ever told anybody about my coaching services. And that pattern is what really helps reveal for me the opportunity that we have to close the gap. And so I feel sometimes that this conversation is redundant and still it keeps coming up. It keeps coming up. And honestly, that's because you think that you are redundant talking about your coaching. And that is not at all. You're not over communicating. I really think that you're barely scratching the surface. So I think for many of you, the real reason that you don't talk about your services is you kind of make this silent assumption that like everybody knows I'm a coach because I wrote coach on my Instagram. And you're giving all these how-to steps and you're like, duh, of course I'm a coach. I'm going to teach you how to fix this. You believe that posting content or even sharing through a mic like I am right now and podcasting equals having a conversation about your coaching services. Content is not a conversation. Here's how I think of content. It's a giant billboard, right? Billboards, look at this. That's interesting. That's cool. I'm interested. Billboards don't close clients though. The content, the billboard is a gateway to finding a way to have a real conversation. And there's a huge difference between putting content out into the world and actually communicating that you have a solution to someone's specific problem. So the thing that actually gets clients today is actually at the core, no difference than 20 years ago, than even 2 months ago, than even 200 months ago, 200 years ago. I don't know if that's true, is the core of what we have to have in order to support people are have conversations. And the more we put ourselves in confident positions to have those conversations at the grocery store, at the gym, in the DMs, in your email, whatever it is, then the more clients are going to come your way. In general, all businesses and coaching businesses included thrive because the owners are so proud and so confident in what they do. They talk about it all the time. It's just this natural, relentless PR of your work, and not in a weird, gross way, but in a fact that you actually talk about your coaching services so people understand that you provide a service. You're not just an influencer, you're not a digital product specialist, you're something more than that. So there's really 4 assumptions that I just want you to check in on that I think are kind of killing your lead flow a little bit. One, I already mentioned one, the biggest one, they already know. They already know I'm a coach. That's the biggest one. They don't, not really, not always. And if they do, they may not understand the exact problem. Here's the other one. They already know what I offer. Offer clarity is honestly a you problem. You crave, I need to get more clear. I need to get more clear. If you can't say it simply, they can't receive it. So we absolutely work on this consistently in multiple of my programs. Another assumption, I've already said it before, they've heard it. Let's say it again and again. New eyes, new reasons, new seasons, new timing. Keep saying it again. New trust, building trust. And then the other reason it feels kind of salesy or sleazy. And this is the mindset block we talked about a couple episodes ago on the selling episode, where we have to reframe this that the right people buy my offers because they are for them, right? And that person in that problem needs you so much. And that is such a reframe. So if any or all of these really resonates with you, let's transition this into then how do we get the leads talking, right? What is this look like? What do conversations actually look like? Here's what conversations do not look like. Sleazy, cold outreach when somebody follows you and you're like, "Hi, buy my thing." That is not what that's about. Or cold emails, cold DMs, or selling. When I say I sell every week in my stories, I'm not like, buy the BDC, join now, book a call, book a call. It actually never sounds like that. The reason being, I'll get to later, is because I have studied my ideal clients so deeply that they hear podcast episodes, they read emails, and they organically want a next step because they're inside saying, like, did Amanda read my diary? Oh my gosh, she knows me. I was literally thinking about this when I went to bed last night. Same thing in live events or workshops, etc. But how I define real conversations is somebody's replying back to an email, somebody's replying back to a story, to a DM. You meet somebody in a networking event, you meet them at the grocery store. It's like two humans engaging in actual conversation. It's not just putting a piece of content out there or putting something in your stories or writing an email without somebody talking back. For me, those are not I didn't mention sales calls. That's wonderful. Or it even could be on a webinar and people are actually chatting back and forth. I need reciprocity in order for there to be some sort of conversation. And I think this is a really important part of that, right? So to back it up, you have these leads in your orbit. They're probably passionate voyeurs of your work. You make these assumptions that aren't necessarily accurate. And because of that, you're not engaging in the one thing that leads to clients, which is conversations. The heart of your business, the one measurement that I always talk about that's so important to keep tracking is those conversations. Because if you just had 2 this month and you were able to have 4 next month and 8 the next month, no doubt we would see consistent linear progression, a positive correlation between clients that come into your world. And the more conversations you have, the more confident you become, and the strategy shows itself of how that's going to reveal itself for you. So you might be listening, but Amanda, how do I engage in those conversations? So this is something I've been deeply studying over the last year. And part of it was because I could see the market shifting. I could see things changing. I could see the way people interacting I don't need to spend so much time in this episode talking about the deep trust recession that we're experiencing in the online education and coaching space. People are skeptical. There's coaches out there coaching that aren't getting real results. People are just like constant state of learning and not patient enough to implement. So then we have to think, how do we show differently? And so that's where our newest opportunity to support you to close this loop exists. My goal is to help you have conversations or have a way to create these conversations and have clients back talking to you immediately. And this is inside the Premium Client Activation Accelerator. This is basically a methodology that I've plucked out of the BDC. I taught the first live cohort in January. It went so amazing. I'm going to share a few case studies here in just a second of those students. And my BDC members are soaking it up because what I saw was clients that were having a really hard time. They were telling me things like, it feels so much harder. I'm talking into the void. Nobody's engaging. All of a sudden start to have these conversations and sales calls and clients. And that's because I had to look at things a little differently. The old way is long, lengthy texts, these kind of traditional newsletters that feel like elementary school newsletters, and too much vanilla content that just does not work anymore. There's a difference. I'll give you some examples of this that I've seen shift some of my students. We were just on a BDC call. I was talking about one of my students. We'll just call her S. She's a health practitioner specializing in basically supporting women with chronic illness diagnosis who are getting the runaround from their physicians. That sounds very different from a health coach that says, if you're over 40 and want to feel healthy. That's going very generic. But my client has gone deeper. And so when she sends out her emails, she's speaking directly to the woman who's had a chronic illness diagnosis, and people tell her she's crazy, she's fine, or she's getting the runaround and she's bounced from doctor to doctor and nothing seems to be relieving her symptoms. That is my client's wheelhouse. And so when we're able to recognize that and go very, very deep, then when we send messages out, your most premium ideal client is literally thinking, holy crap, she is talking to me. And you might feel that language here on the podcast or when you read my emails, because that's what I do. I study exactly where my favorite clients to work with are struggling and what is on their minds. And I listen to their struggles on client calls. So when they tell me things like, my workshop went so well, I got to the end with the pitch and I tried to soft pitch and then nobody responded and I got no clients off of it, but people are like, oh, it's really good. That is so many of you out there. So guess what? I use that language and I pull it into my marketing because that's exactly what my client says and how she would say it, not how I would say it. And so the whole idea of how do we close the gap? How do we take these leads that I know you have is we have to know the most intimately details of what they're thinking and what their desires are and their struggles are in order to speak to them so much that anywhere you put words, it activates them into a next step. And this also takes the pressure off selling because all we're trying to do is say, hey, yes, oh my gosh, that's me. And from there, when somebody's already said, hey, I need that, that is me, it makes the conversation so much easier to have. It's like when you walk into a room and you meet someone and you see that they have this cool outfit on, you're like, oh my gosh, I love that outfit. You've already said, hey, that's me, I'm like you, let's talk. And so what I often see though, instead of you going deeper, you pivot. You say, no, I'm barking up the wrong tree. It's the wrong niche. Or a classic one is you try to recreate offers, different offers. But friends, if they haven't bought the offer yet, if they haven't said yes to the offer, it's not your offer, it's how you're talking about it. Or you just think you need to make more content. And the problem is you make more content and it's still the content that's not speaking to the person. But you got to remember right now, your people are distracted. It's saturated. So we need to speak to them faster in the ways that you really understand at the heart of what their needs are. So my belief is the leads are already there for so many of you. The gap is the conversation. You don't know how to ignite that conversation so it can even lead into the possibility of having a sales conversation or a qualification of the leads to say, like, is this client even a best client for me? And so if you're stuck, the accelerator is amazing. It is a great next step for you. It is the lowest price point it will ever be, under $100, because I know that so many people need this work. It's meant to be bingeable. Go listen on a walk, put it into play, get your clients talking back immediately. That is the goal of it before the price point doubles. And so, again, you can visit amanda-walker.com/activate. You can find all the information there to join us. You'll get immediate access. But I wanted to record this episode to just remind you that sometimes we tell ourselves there's so many reasons that are way bigger, and often, like, we're doing so many great things, we just need some slight tweaks and adjustments to go deep instead of wide, and you're going to see so much momentum from that. So I've dropped the link in the show notes, and I just want to help you speak to that client in such a way that they are like, yes, she is for me. And I know that that's going to help you create so much momentum and have those conversations that are going to lead to a full roster. So again, please share this with another coach that you feel like is like, yes, that's me. I need that support too. And if you have any questions, you're not sure if this is for you, then just head on over to A Walk My Way. That's my IG handle. Love to have a conversation. And I will see you on next week's episode. Until then, go coach 'em up.